All right. So we're going to jump right in now to an overview of the Beautiful Trouble world and how you access the modules for trainers and facilitators. Then we'll dive into module 12 and a little exercise that we're doing to share some self-care and community resilience today on the call on this Zoom. And then we'll do questions and answers before we close out with another check-in poll. All right. So here we are on the Beautiful Trouble website. You can see all these great things that are available to you on the top line. I will really quickly click on the toolbox. You can access it either from the top or from open the toolbox button. And I want to point out, we are dedicated to accessibility in a lot of ways. And in particular, we are doing our best to translate into multiple languages. And at the top of the screen on the right side, you can see for the toolbox of principles, theories, tactics, etc., you can click on multiple languages on the top of the screen and see most of the toolbox in most of the languages. Great. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then if we go back to the main page, as you scroll down, you will see that you can access information about trainings, the Beautiful Action Trainers modules, the Movement Compass, which is another wonderful tool to help activists understand the cycle that they are in. And of course, how to access our books and resources, which include the fabulous Beautiful Trouble strategy card decks that you can actually use to do both strategic planning and creative action development, as well as play games. And there are directions via cards for the facilitators online for free, as well as within the card deck. So if we go back over to the training site and we go to tools for trainers, this is how one of the ways to access BATMo. You can also access it from the front page of Beautiful Trouble. And you can see these are resources for trainers, and it is available online for free and also in a card deck that you can download yourself. So just to show you that you can get the card deck currently online in 3 languages, in Bangla and Arabic and Spanish. We also have it translated into Burmese, and that will be up on the site very soon, as well as additional languages are coming. Now, you might think, who's BATMo for? BATMo is for anyone who's organizing or training or facilitating or interested in anything from the history and background of nonviolent action to how to be a better facilitator or trainer. So you can see the first unit or the first module is around nonviolent action history. There are 4 more additional modules on strategic planning. And there is a module on creative action design, as well as a module on handling conflict. And then the last 5 are about support for facilitators, including this module, module 12. I'm just going to jump right into one of my favorite modules, module 7, for a minute to show you how you access it. I clicked on the image of the card and it took me to a Google Doc. And the Google Doc for all of these modules is a very clear, simple, text-based, text-based, here we go, it's a text-based thing. And you can read a couple of pages very quickly with a snapshot, an introduction, some key concepts, and some further information pulled out. And then at the bottom of that, there is a training activities list that links you through to very specific how to use particular exercises in the module itself. So you can see this one is about hassle lines. And it's all Google Docs based, so it's extremely accessible, hopefully, for you to use it. So if we go back into the Beautiful Trouble toolbox, you can access any of these modules by clicking on the card image. And then, of course, you can also download the cards themselves. It's a free download. You just download it through our online store, but it is not charging you to download it. And then you can print it out and cut it up for your own use. So we're really excited about this. We're really excited to share a little bit about what's in Module 12, our most recent, our newest module from last month, and hear your thoughts and comments about using it, especially from those who are already using it. We'd love to hear what you'd like to share with others. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Qianggu up. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to invite Qianggu to come up and share with us a little bit about the Module 12, and perhaps we'll open with a little breathing exercise as well. So Qianggu, are you ready to come up?
Yes, thanks, Nadine. Hi, everyone. So right now, I would like us to turn off our cameras just for a bit. We're going to do a little bit of a grounding exercise and just practice breathing. I'll also turn off my camera so that we can focus. Okay. So just kind of like relax where you are. Just clear your mind. Don't think about previous activities or anything. Just think about you. Focus mentally on this particular meeting and on yourself at this particular point. This point, I want you to exhale and then inhale through your nose. We're going to do these 4 times. We're going to do it 4 times. So we're going to do it the first time. Inhale through your nose and exhale. I'm going to do it again for the second time. Inhale and exhale. We'll do it for the third time. Inhale and exhale. As we continue to breathe in and out, I want you to focus on the sounds that you hear around you. What do you feel inside of you as well? How are these sounds resonating inside of you? As you breathe, what do you feel? Focus on that. Make sure your eyes are closed and you're focusing on you and not having any distractions around you. You can pick up or touch any item near you with your hands closed. It could even be just on your body. And check whether it feels soft or hard or heavy or light. How does that really feel? I want you to continue to inhale slowly and exhale slowly. Do that one more time. Inhale slowly and exhale. Okay. We can turn on our cameras now if our cameras are on. Okay, thank you for that. I hope we are now more focused and in tune with who we are at this particular point. And as we get into the flow of our program, we can then have a focused discussion on how we see self-care and how do we focus on self-care as facilitators and trainers. We can go into looking at Module 12.
Qianggu, do you want me to screen share Module 12, or do you want to screen share?
Yes.
Or Darius?
If you can. Can Darius screen share it? Okay.
Yeah.
Super, super great. Okay. So Module 12 mostly focuses on building resilience and self-care and community care. It's very important to both look at self-care in different spheres. I hope you don't mind if I switch off my camera My internet's a little bit shaky, so I'll turn it off for a while. So this particular module provides facilitators and organizers with accessible self-care and community care practices, and it focuses on building support so that we can feed into our social change agenda, because you cannot feed into the planet and take care of the planet and all these other things we're trying to change about the world if we're not also taking care of ourselves. And we understand that oftentimes we want to take care of everybody else, but as people who are trying to be agents of change, we don't usually focus on our well-being as well. And that's why this toolkit came about, to focus on keeping ourselves tip-top shape and looking at how we can be our best version of ourselves to feed into other people and not focus on hurt or hate or anything that brings us down. So, like said, the tools in this module focus on 3 circles, right? Which is looking at self-care, collective care, and community resilience. And in this content of self-care, we're not just talking about like taking baths or like just sitting outside and relaxing, maybe having a glass of wine if you drink, or whatever things we use to relax, but we're looking at it more of a holistic view. We're trying to disrupt the normalized ways we look at oppression and radical individualism and whatnot, and then focus on how we can collaborate and also interdependence, and how we can work with people to kind of like foster a community level of care. So it's not just focusing on care at an individual level, but how can we also focus on care at a community-based level? And also, how can we focus on care for ourselves that feeds into caring for others as well? Because we're feeding into ourselves, that will then feed into how we relate with other people as well. And then when we look at that, we also look at we crucially recognize that historically, the burden of care has been heavy on women. We do know that, and of people of color. So how can we change that view of care being a female body person to care being a holistic thing that is focused on everybody else? So it disrupts that and has an intersectional feminist approach to having everyone look at care as something that should be focused on, regardless of how you identify, that this is everyone's responsibility. And that would feed into a better place of social change, and also building into anti-oppressive care structures and tending to focus on resilience, on how we look at care. And usually when we fail to take care of ourselves, you genuinely can harm other people. And it also hinders your health at a personal level. And we all know that when you're hurt, you end up hurting other people, because we do understand that at a certain point, if you're not going to properly focus on being the best version of yourself, you can feed into hurting other people, which is what we do not want to do as trainers. And it's very important that as communities, we try to protect our space and keep it safe and keep it healthy. Now, just to note that this is not something holistic, and it's not like a once-off thing that if you follow these steps, you will then be this big self-care guru. We're looking at it more of a process and a journey that you start to kind of like be alive to the different aspects of what self-care would look like. And how would that self-care be for you? So even though this module will have different tools on how self-care could work and how community care could work in your spaces, it's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing. You can also find other methods that work best for you. And at the end there, we put a little disclaimer that it's not a substitute for therapy and addressing mental and emotional health concerns. So just because you do these exercises and whatnot, and they do make you feel some type of way, if you do need extra support, please seek help from people who are able to assist with that help. Yeah. I would turn on my camera. As an overview, that is pretty much how Module 12 looks, and that is pretty much how we're trying to look at this tool to assist with the trainers that we have in our spaces. How are we focusing on being the best version of ourselves, that when we get into training rooms, we actually feed out good vibes? Yeah. Thank you, Nadine. Back to you.
Thank you, 𝗔gu. That was lovely. And we recognize, as Changu said, that this is a journey, a process, a practice, right? Something that we work on all the time. And I think for me, particularly, someone who's always going, it's about how we ourselves access calming or a grounded feeling in the midst of chaos or in the front of a room, rather than you know, in a lovely forest or on a beautiful pillow in a particular gorgeous space. But how do we figure out how to access a calm or a centering force within ourselves when we need it, when we're stressed? So these activities, you'll see, at least are designed to be able to, like this breathing exercise, you should be able to do it, you know, do some breathing, whether it's, you know, a box breathing where you breathe in for 3 or 4 counts, you hold your breath for 1 or 2 counts, you breathe out for 3 or 4 counts, you pause for another, so that you can do something that indicates to yourself, and you get used to doing it, and you can access that feeling, that good centered feeling wherever you are, whether it's in front of a room as a facilitator or whether it's on the street during an action. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about. I would love it if people who are on the call now would like to talk, especially those who have used the BATMo modules, if anybody, or particularly module 12, because this is the launch for the self-care and community resilience module. If you would like to talk about how you used it, or if you have guidance for people using some of the tools in the BATMo modules, I know that we have on the call some of the folks who helped write BATMo modules. We have Sheng and I think Chanel, and of course Changu, Anjana, myself, Daria helped. Others are here. So if anybody would like to unmute and tell us about their experiences using module 12, that would be great. And then of course, we would love to have all kinds of questions from those who are attending. And yes, for those in attendance, the BATMo modules are online for free. You can access them on the Beautiful Trouble website under the For Trainers tab. Excellent. And I will also look in the chat and see if there are other questions here that we should address. So anyone here would like to chime in with a comment or a question? We would love to hear from you right now. Somebody's reminding me, thank you, Bhakta. We can use cards in many different ways. This particular card deck, I will let people know there are 2 actual card decks associated with Beautiful Trouble. One is a card game that's strategic planning and tactics, principles, and theories from the Beautiful Trouble toolbox. That card deck you have to purchase, unfortunately, but all the material is available for free online. This card deck is designed specifically for trainers and facilitators, and the only way to get it is to download it and print it yourself for free off the website. And you could use this one also if you wanted as a tarot card, pick a card and see what kind of guidance it might give you for your training or facilitation work, but that's a slightly different use. Yeah. And also there's a question from Florence in the chat. How easy is it to balance care at individual level and community level? Well, I'd love to let folks in this community try to answer that. I would love to hear what you all think in your own communities, in your own work, how easy has it been? Oh, and I see a long quote as well from ActionAid Liberia. Are you able to unmute and talk? Or is it too different? Is it better for you just to put it in the chat? Go ahead and talk to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadine. This is Noel Harris from Global Plan Liberia. So I'm using ActionAid Zoom platform, that's why. Yeah, but at Global Platform Liberia, we're able to roll out the Module 11, and that was done in 2021. And based on our experience with the module, I think some of the learnings we're able to document included the fact that young people learn and adapt quickly to the different approaches of the BATMo, and it improves the learning ability of young people in a more practical and fun-filled environment. So that way we're able to get the young people participation full day. And also the nonviolent action, it was able to allow young people to find themselves and promote learning from each other, that is cross-learning. At the same time, also encouraging the peer-to-peer form of learning that I just talked about. And also, like I said, the approach is unique in a way that it also improves young people's critical thinking skills and young people's skills around analyzing different situations, doing advocacies. So these are just few of the learnings from our experience with the module 11. We're yet to try out the module 12, but I'm hoping that in this quarter 3, we can be able to share it with the different young people we work with. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much for sharing that story. We do think that the modules, and in particular, module 12 is very accessible and very unique. And actually, I'm going to share my screen for just a minute and show people what it looks like if you go to download your cards. So you can see this is the PDF that you get. I'm going to point out that the first card is on the first page where the instructions are, and you can scroll through and see all 12 cards. I'm going to go down to module 12. Oh, the last sheet is the back. If you decide you want the back, you can print out the back on the others. And you can see that Building Resilience, Care for the Long Haul is the title of module 12, the full title. We call it Self-Care and Community Resilience for short. And there are 5 different activities here. The first one does focus on yourself, helping to figure out how you yourself individually can set an intention, learn how to harness what we call embodied practice, which means using your body to help you ground or center, using your breathing and your body, and then, or potentially even movement. And then the second activity is about doing this in community. So we have directions for facilitators and trainers, and this is where the uniqueness is, because you all know probably there's a million things out there now about how to do self-care, how to take care of yourself. But what we found was really lacking was short things you could essentially hold in your hand, like this card deck, to help guide you as a facilitator and trainer. And the third unit, the third exercise, is about mental and emotional health and first aid, particularly that one and the one about building resilient groups and the self-care and community in action is they're designed to help you think as a community about what specifically would work in your own context to build in care during actions, to build in community resilience so that we are reducing the amount of stress and harm that can happen during our events and within our communities for the long term. So we felt that this was really needed and very much helpful to the communities that we were working with to make this kind of thing accessible to facilitators and trainers. And you can download the cards in a variety of languages and a variety of sizes from the website itself. Excellent. So I'd love to know, is there anyone else who'd like to chime in or ask a question? Oh, right, we were going to answer, how easy is it to balance care at the individual level and the community level? Anybody want to chime in from your experience with this? Well, I can start. I think it's not easy. I don't think anyone is going to pretend that it's an easy process. I think, as we said, it is a practice, right? It's something we're going to try certain things out, and then we are going to adjust them as we can fit them. And in many communities, it will vary. some communities are going to be very open to incorporating, breathing or grounding exercises, even movement or dance, like playing a song that can focus and ground people can be helpful. And some folks are really not going to like that at all. I love the fact that at the beginning, Chungu offered that we could shut our videos off. We know that sometimes that's a source of stress on Zoom calls, but learning what is appropriate in your own particular context and what can lower stress levels, even simple things like turning your cameras off, can be very helpful. On the other hand, like if we have folks who are very energetic, it might be that, sitting somewhere with your eyes closed is not what helps calm the community down. It might be having a wild dance party for 5 minutes during your planning session for an action might be more appropriate. So really seeing what resonates with people and offering people a whole bunch of options can be helpful, and giving them a couple tools that they can use themselves. What else are we looking at? One thing that we've talked about a lot is making sure that you have professionals or people who are trained, is what we mean by professionals, if you need that in your work. If you're doing work that that is going to be very emotionally draining, work on, assault or violence issues, having a trained person or someone able to actually handle emotional outbreaks or crises that might happen is very important. That's part of building community resilience, understanding the needs that you'll have and trying to resource your events that are coming up appropriately. What else have we got? Feel free to drop something in the chat. Feel free to unmute and ask a question.
Nadine, maybe I want to add some of my reflections.
Please.
So the reason we started working on BATMo from the very start is also because our trainers at the GPs are very much busy, right? Like they're doing back-to-back trainings, so sometimes we need more inspirations, new inspirations, and we don't have time to go through the big bulky manuals and all of that. So that's where it started in terms of how can we support people who are actually making a change on the ground? How do we support them so that they also stay inspired? And then I think based on our own practice, we talked about, okay, we talk about all these things. Let's change the world, support, fight against inequality and injustice. But then how do we take care of ourselves? So that's why we talked about self-care and community resilience. So as we were working on this, I think one of the reflections we had also is like self-care is also is a feminist act, right? Like because as women, we are conditioned not to take care of ourselves, but take care of others. So how do we balance the conversations around community resilience and self-care? So whenever we are having conversations in like a women's group and all of that, so it's easy to talk about self-care, do some self-care practices in the training space, but then how do we build it back?
Oops, Anjana, thank you so much for your thoughts. You cut off at the end. I don't know if you want to finish it. Were other people able to hear her at the end? No. But Anjana is correct, just to reiterate, to emphasize, we developed BATMo by request for trainers and facilitators who wanted something quick and handy to access. We're really happy that all of you from around the world are joining us today. In fact, we really are looking forward to your feedback, whatever modules you end up using. And in particular, we did take on a feminist approach to this work that we did in module 12 and also throughout the whole of BATMo, all the rest of the modules. So that would be great. Yeah. So here's what we'd like to do. Anjana actually had asked originally if we would take a photo. So if people who are willing would turn their cameras back on. We would love to take a lovely picture with as many folks of us as we can here. And we do have a few more minutes. We had aimed to end it by 1:15. So we'll take a few more minutes if people are interested in any questions or comments. That would be great. We'll put the link again into where you can download the BATMo modules. Feel free to unmute and ask a question if you'd like. And then I think we're going to launch, if Anjana is back, we will launch a little Menti poll to close out the session to hear about how you might use this work. So there we go. We're going to take a photo. Everybody want to say hi? We can do it again. And I will, as we're doing this, I really do want to thank Sheng and Shanil and Anjana and Chengu and Juman and Daria and the crew that really worked on module 12 and other modules too. Really lovely to see you all. Anjana is back, but facing issues with Zoom. Do we think we will launch the Menti poll, or shall we do our little exit Zoom poll instead?
Let's do the Zoom poll because there's some issues with my computer and Zoom.
All right. There it is. There's a poll there. Was asking you about, do you think you will use BATMo? And then whether you use it personally with your group or you're just interested in it, but maybe you'll share it with other folks. And then we were asking, which modules do you think you would use? So if you could take a minute and do that, and we're totally happy if you want to unmute and chat with us as you are taking the poll, that would be great. If there's some other module you would like for us to explore and develop as part of the BATMo world, let us know. If there's something you've used that you'd like to comment on, we'd love to hear it. We're really happy. How many of you participated in the Global Platforms Training of Trainers this past June? You want to give us a thumbs up or wave at us? And we can see who were part of it. Yeah. All right. We'll give a few more minutes for the poll. And here we go. Whenever we using BATMo and we have questions, who can we reach out to for assistance? You can try team@𝗕eautifultrouble.org. You can also reach out if you're a part of the ActionAid Global Platforms. You can reach out to Chengu and Anjana. There is a recording. We are recording this, and we will be releasing a recording. Hopefully that will be helpful to folks. And I'm happy to say people are letting us know that there are ways that they will use BATMo particularly with their groups and the organizations. 96%. That's awesome. Yeah, and we've got a lot of people who are thinking they'll use it. That's great. I will share with you, there is another recording on BATMo modules 1 through 11 and using BATMo in your work, as well as other modules of how to use Beautiful Trouble resources on YouTube channel and accessible on Beautiful Trouble's YouTube channel. So we'll send out that access link when we send out a follow-up with the recording of this session as well. Awesome. So we've got 1 minute left. I think we can share the results of this poll. And please feel free to unmute and say hello, say goodbye, say it in your language.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for participating.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Nice to see you all.
Thank you. Nice
Thank
to see you all
you.
again.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much.